Q&A right now.
That's two.
It's for those. It's two
No,
hours.
there are four of us.
Yeah, true.
I'm not answering questions.
All right, I won't ask you one.
Go for it. Do it. I won't have an answer. But
So how have you guys been finding the con today?
Yeah, great. Enjoying it. Lovely atmosphere, lovely interactions. Thanks very much for inviting us. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always fantastic to meet the community of Baldur's Gate 3 who make us feel so welcome. And as I said to a few guys, when you're watching on stream or when anything online, it's quite hard to make that connection. But meeting you guys in person and seeing the enthusiasm you bring really fires our enthusiasm. So thank you.
Yeah, I really learn things as well because there are parts of the game that I've not experienced, and all the interactions are telling me something new. I always get so much joy out of your enjoyment of the game and how much it's inspired you as well. A lot of people have been inspired by this game, and it's really it's touching, and I'm just thrilled, really thrilled by the game's success. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So I've got a few questions for you, and Joe's got a few questions for you.
Yeah.
We're going to jump between. I've got some for both of you. I've got some more personalised ones.
I've just got questions.
Joe's got questions,
I just not in agree.
so he'll just ask everything. He'll
Everything
say,
and anything.
He'll start with 2 plus 2. So really
Six.
cool stuff.
Starting with the hard ones, right?
Yeah.
So some really difficult stuff on Joe's part. But I'll start with I think an easy one. What got you guys into acting?
I got into acting. Well, I mean, my first experiences were at school. Really, acting in school plays, and then experiencing, classical theatre. I studied English at university, so Shakespeare, Jacobean drama, a golden age of drama. Acting with my contemporaries at uni was tremendous, and then I briefly taught, and then went off to drama school where I did a 1-year postgraduate course. And from that, although it wasn't immediate, it wasn't a springboard into the profession. I had to gate crash auditions and really struggle on the fringe in London. But eventually it paid off. And in those days, I needed an equity card. You had to be part of the union. It wasn't. It was a closed shop, or we call it closed shop in those days. It wasn't open. Anybody can act now. Doesn't help you get a job necessarily, but in those days you really had to have a card. You had to be a member of the union. So I started literally gate crashing, finding out where auditions were going on, and turning up and saying, "Look, I'm not here by invitation. The directors would look at you strangely, and then at their list, oh, you must be." I said, "No, I'm really not. I'm really not on your list. But if you could find a moment," and sometimes they'd say, "No, I'm sorry, goodbye." It wouldn't be fair to those who have written in. And then I would say, "Well, I have written in." To which they can only say, "Well, it's still there. Goodbye." And or goodbye. No, my juggling would say. But tennis joke. But on the odd occasion, people would say, "Great, yeah, come in. Here's a play. Read this," and I would do it. And eventually, it actually worked. I got a call a couple of days after a particular audition for Tess of the D'Urbervilles, which was touring the West Country. And I turned up, Tess of the D'Urbervilles. I auditioned for the role of Alec, and 2 days later the phone rang, and the director said, "We'd like to offer you the part of Alec D'Urberville." Oh, brilliant, brilliant. He said, "It's touring the West Country, these are the dates, this is the money." Oh, money. The subsistence allowance, touring allowance, this is this. Do you want to do it? And then, do you remember the days, forgive me, do you remember the days of payphones and when the pips went? And that meant your time was up. The director was calling me from a payphone to offer me this job. I couldn't believe it. So he told me all this, gave me the spiel. The pimps went beep, 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 which meant we had to shovel more money in or the call was over. So we had about 4 or 5 seconds. He said, so is that all right? Will you accept the job? I said, yeah, but Nigel. He said, yeah, what? Is it okay about the equity card? Oh, yeah. And the line went. And that's how I got my equity card and my first job in the professional theatre. True story.
Well, for me, I kind of bounced around as a youngster, not really knowing what I was going to do. I did a lot of sport, I did some A levels, not really thinking of any career in mind, and I was doing okay. And then I sat down with a good friend and we were chatting about who could be an actor. And oh, yeah, you can definitely. They got to me and they were like, no way. And right there, I was like, I can get a job. And then I went home and I thought, why is this affecting you so much if you've never thought of acting? And I thought, well, maybe you have thought of acting, you just haven't entertained it. And so I started doing some Amgram stuff. I got a really great part in Michael Brown class with Moses Off. And that's obvious. Just the immediacy of theatre work. You're literally put on the spot there and then for an audience to judge on the spot whether you are good enough. And you can feel it, even if it's not a comedy, you can feel what the performance is doing to the audience. And that is really electrifying. It's addictive and you want more of it. And then from there, I did a performing arts course. I had to try and get my equity card. And there's PCR, which is a magazine that came around, which you have to. It's printed on red paper to give it importance. But it's basically audition sides, and you print off your CD, print off your photograph, print off the letter, put it in an envelope, buy the postage, send it off, wait for a reply, and it took ages. Nowadays, they call you up 2 days before. Can you make this casting? Oh, and here's the sides. It's like 5 pages to learn in 2 days. And you go, yes, of course, it's an actor. Whenever you're offered anything, you say yes. And yeah, the rest is history. I've obviously got a face for voice work, so I found a lot more success in that. And here we are with Baldur's Gate 3.
Okay, I've got a question for Scott. Lots of fans have varying opinions on your character. How does the Emperor's relationship with the player evolve throughout the game, in your opinion?
In my opinion, how does the Emperor's character evolve? Well, the Emperor's character evolves on the decisions you make. So you control your destiny in the game. You own your decisions. The decisions you make shape not just your character, but the characters around you, which is what's so fascinating and beautiful about Baldur's Gate 3 and why people go back to it so many times for the playthroughs, because it's different virtually every single time. And so with the Emperor, it's shades of grey. I can't say too much.
So Act 3? No,
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Lauren jokingly said, yeah, you can say anything, just not too much about Act 3. I was like, yeah, that's kind of when I come in. But yeah, the character of the Emperor is shaped by your decisions, I would say. And forgive my croaky voice, I'm getting over loud judges.
Okay, yeah. I'll go. It's fine. Yeah. So obviously he's a book in Baldur's Gate 3. Really simple question. Have you actually played Dungeons and Dragons before? Either of both of you.
No.
Would you play it?
Simple answer.
Would you
Would
play
you
it?
play?
I would play. Fans have said to me, you have to go into the House of Hope. You have to let me take you into the House of Hope.
Okay.
And they want to go to me to engage in a playthrough. And I'd be very happy to do that, because they said you wouldn't believe all various things that can happen. I think you would really get a lot out of it. And the more I hear about the game, as I said a few moments ago, the more I'm learning about it, and the sort of the detail, the sophistication of the storytelling And you know, all that moral, the grey area, the moral ambiguity, the decision making, all that engagement that there is to discover. So I'm on a learning curve with it. So yeah, I would never say no, except to Raphael. Or on the other hand.
I didn't really. I don't think I really understood D&D. I had an idea. I used to play the role play books. You know, the books where you had to save the page before you roll the dice. And then, it's like pushing in 5 minutes of markers into the pages. So I used to play those books, and I used to. There's a Lord of the Rings card game where you have 9 sites and you play through 9 sites. It's nowhere near as adventurous as or free as the D&D. So I guess I skirted around it. But then I watched the High Rollers 2 shot with the Baldur's Gate 3 cast, and I saw firsthand just the freedom of imagination that D&D incorporates and encourages. And I thought, God, I wish I'd discovered this before I had 4 kids. So the answer is yes, just maybe later on. When
Not right now.
time. Yeah, I would love to. I really would love to.
So, Andrew, I believe that Baldur's Gate was your first time doing motion capture.
Yes, it was.
Can you describe your experience with it?
Yes, I can. I turned up on day 1 and was told you've got to put this body suit on, which is made of kind of Velcro material. So everything sticks to it. You put on this bodysuit, which is rather figure-hugging, a bit like pajamas, and light receptors are put all over you, and then a microphone is put on, and you look very peculiar indeed. So don't look too closely in the mirror. So I arrived, and I was told, put your clothes in this locker. I thought, oh, this is like school, isn't it? Don't fancy this. Yeah, I put this on. Okay, what is it, bedtime? And then, you know, but yeah, I knew there was going to be, this is motion capture, I knew, you know, you were going into a studio surrounded by cameras. So I did all this, got ready, wired for sound, they run through all the technicians run through all the tests to make sure the software's working. They created a little avatar that looks like a Power Ranger on the screen, which is all rather fetching. But I quite like the look of him. He looks rather hench, you know, if anybody in there. Yeah, he looks rather hench. Can I tell you? Or rather fancy this. Yeah. And then at one point, the engineer said, do you want to see what Raphael looks like a bit more in game? I can't give you the costume, but I can show you a bit more. I said, yeah, that'd be great. So I sort of tapped into the keyboard, and then I moved my shoulders, and the avatar moved, the Power Ranger moved. I went, oh look, he's got wings. Oh, this is good. Oh, he's got a tail. So this was all good fun. But just to finish the story of day 1, I was all set to go. Avatar was behaving, and in the studio, Pit Stop Studios where we recorded, the fire alarm went off. The building had to be evacuated. So I'm on Croydon High Street with everybody else from Pit Stop in the studio on Croydon High Street in the drizzle of a Monday morning with me wearing pajamas. And passers-by saying, I've seen those bodysuits in M&S, they're good, aren't they? So that's an embellishment, but essentially that's true. That was day 1. But after that, there was no fire, and we carried on. And every session was great fun at Pit Stop. It was so positive and encouraging, and enabled me to give me the freedom to use instinct and imagination to create the character. So really, motion capture was like going back to the theatre. You slightly angle it, and then you find the movements. and the voice and the movements become one. So it's really just like going back to theatre for me. I had a great time.
Shall we open it?
Loud about I was literate as well.
Shall we open it to the audience?
Does anyone have a question?
Do we have any questions?
Do you want to go? Do you go?
This is our resident questioner.
That means I can sit down. I don't have to go.
Can you hear me all right? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Something that the fans get a lot of fun out of is imagining all the characters in different situations. If for some reason Raphael and the Emperor were brought into our universe and had to assimilate, what kind of jobs do you feel like they have? Or would they just refuse?
Oh wow.
So what job would the Emperor? Oh, you don't.
What kind of jobs in the real world, in the real universe,
Yeah.
would Raphael have? Well, he'd probably be the CEO of Newcastle United or something. He'd be incredibly manipulative, charming. He would have the charm of Gareth Southgate, and yeah, the manipulative powers of Boris Johnson or something. I don't know.
Oh, God.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's scary. But yeah, he'd be the CEO, power and charm, but you wouldn't really know how far you wanted to trust him. I think so.
Wow. What would the Emperor be? Okay, well, assuming that he could make people see him as you were, because I don't think you get very far otherwise. Maybe a private detective. Because I think he'd rake it in. Let's face it, you know, that guy's lying. Yeah, it's that one. Yeah, I would say a private detective. And also, some of the fan art out there has the Emperor in a fedora and a trench coat and stuff. I just think he looks pretty cool in a private detective. And I love that whole genre of noir, so it matches me.
Any other questions?
Any more for any more?
Yes. Oh, look, it's another resident question. I like it. I like it.
I'm Alvin. Andrew still. Now, on good occasions, I talked about how Baldur's Gate 3 was like a big thing, like Lord of the Rings. How it was going to mark a generation. What do you want the public to take from the story and the like you know how Lord of the Rings talked about courage during wartime and what do you want the people to take away from the story, the overall story of Baldur's Gate 3?
Good question.
That's deep. I might need some time to research that one. I guess it's that life is an adventure, and your decision. I've said this to a couple of the others, to a couple of the fans that visited my table. You own your decisions. Do you know what I mean? And make it your adventure. Don't regret anything. Just plan your course in life. If you get locked off course, adjust accordingly. But make sure your life is your adventure and live it. Definitely not that.
Yeah, I think Scott's absolutely right. I think it's about trust and companionship, but also betrayal, and all those wonderful things that underpin any great story, any great narrative. All these things probably are hallmarks of every great fantasy or epic fantasy. So yeah, trust, companionship. I think the morality that Scott's talked about, of the decision making.
I think also the fact that it's a lot of the game is shades of grey, and the whole romance element makes it that much more lifelike. So it is that life is shades of grey. It's not always that clear decision of right or wrong. So yeah. But I take on board the whole companionship thing and learning to trust people and accept others and things like that. And I think those are really good. That feeds out into the community, which is a brilliant, vibrant, accepting community. And I think that's really rich and very valuable.
I think another great thing about this game is that you can not only explore, but re-explore. So you can go back in and a mistake perhaps you made or a decision you took. Here, uniquely, I think, in gaming, or not gameplay, unique to gaming, you can explore, you make decisions and go off down one avenue. This game gives you that option, but when you come back and play again, you take the other course. You make another decision. Now, a movie is always a movie. You can respond to the movie on a second viewing in an entirely different way, but it's still the movie. With this game, you've got hours of gameplay. You come to the end of 150 hours or 200 hours. Go back to the beginning, play as another character, and have an entirely different experience. I mean, that's extraordinary to me. And so explore, re-explore. The multi-dimensions and the multiple layers of narrative, I think are amazing. A real adventure, yeah.
Do we have any more questions? I think we have time for two more.
I'll do the same. Yeah.
You both play characters that are not like your normal human person, like wings or different face, and I think the really cool thing about motion capture is you can become anything you want. Is there like a specific like weird type of creature you really want to be in a game or whatever? Like, you could be a dragon.
Well, I mean, I've played an ogre with a meat pot on his back. Yeah, the possibilities are endless, and it's never an equal helping of trepidation and excitement as you go into that audition or you go into the first day of motion capture or whatever, and you see your character for the first time, and that's a really rich moment of creative, imaginative spark. So I think for me, I really love a character that's very harshly based in a real world situation, because I find it fantastically easy, not easy to master, but easy to get excited about and do characters with skins that are very thick and characters that are huge. I mean, even though the Emperor is actually quite subtle, it's quite a big character behind him. So I think I really like the challenge of a real world character with real challenges, human challenges, feelings, emotions, relationships to go through. I'd really love to explore that, I think, and that would really challenge me.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah, real life situation. So you're not, because Raphael's very theatrical, so everything he does is slightly exaggerated or feline in some way. But to go to the other extreme, I played a sort of fishman in the game. I don't know if any of you picked this up. I can't remember the character. You may know it, but he sort of had that kind of physicality. So rather than Raphael, who's elegant and his movements are measured and silky, this was kind of was a fishman, you know. It's there in the game, but it's really amazing because the studio becomes a space where you can play. Whatever you're given to do, you can use your imagination. You have the freedom to be instinctive, to invent. And I've always said radio is a very physical medium. It's not, as many people think, you just sit there, stand there with a script and read the words. It's much more than that. If anything, you sort of overcompensate physically because it will affect the way your voice sounds. So, playing characters in games is exactly the same, really. You physicalize as much as you possibly can, especially with motion capture, and you invent. You just use it as a space to play within whatever parameters you're given. And if it's too much, they'll tell you, or if it's not enough, or you go down an avenue with it. And it's really very liberating. That's what rehearsal is in theatre too. When you finally arrive at whatever decisions you're making, you put it into performance context, you play it in front of an audience, and you get that feedback that Scott talked about. You hear the laughter. But in a studio, you're free to do anything and be anything, which is what the question is about. So, yeah. Is that a good answer or not? Yeah.
That's a brilliant answer. But unfortunately, that's all we've got time
That's
for
all, folks.
today. But it has been such a lovely little Q&A with you both. I loved it. Thank you so much for joining us. Can we have another massive round of applause, please?
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.